Alright, welcome back to the NSRFN's YouTube channel. We have an all new video here. And in this video we're going to be going over the Norfolk Southern S-Line and its trains. We're going to be going over the train list, the locals, the few mainline trains that there are, and some other stuff as well. So, again, Norfolk Southern S-Line, Asheville District, you have from Salisbury, North Carolina to Morganton, Tennessee, and we're going to be going over all the trains here, even on the Tennessee side of the line. But we're going to be starting here with the locals and the ones in the Hickory, NC area where we're at. And first we'll go over P71 Hickory to Morganton, 30-mile route roughly. Primary power on this train, EMD Jeep types, whether that be GP38-2, GP38-3, GP60. Those types are the main ones that you're going to be seeing on this train. You're not really going to be seeing many others other than that, other than those few I just mentioned. It serves local industries along the line. You have Sure Tape, you have the interchange with the Caldwell County Railroad short line. You also have Carolina Container, which handles boxcars, and then many others, up in Conley Springs, Morganton, those areas of western North Carolina, and runs in the morning into the afternoon. So that's the time frame that it runs, usually somewhere between 8 and 9 in the morning till 2 or 3 in the afternoon, something like that. But again, that's the primary power of the train. That's what you're going to be expecting, and you're not going to be seeing many long trains either. 10 cars, somewhere usually between 5 to 10 cars, something like that. So that's what you can look at with P71, and all the information with that there. P95 is the other local that uses 4-axle power. That starts at Oyama Yard. Hickory, NC to Claremont, NC, but also Catawba. Not every day of the week, but sporadically here and there. Same power as P71, same engines that are used on P71 go on this train as well. Runs east of Oyama Yard. P71 obviously runs west of Oyama Yard, but again, P95, very interesting train. Serves a couple places on the complex of Conover. You have Lucky Logistics and I believe Hickory Springs. So you have two different customers on that one complex right at the milepost 52, and then further up you have Newton with the old Carolina Northwestern branch line. It's just 1 mile, but it serves that here and there. And then Claremont's where they do, I think, the most. That's where they turn their train around. They have an industry there, and then at Catawba they go onto the Catawba lead track that ends up going to Marshall Steam Station, Duke Energy, Marshall Steam Station. They can go that far. Most of the time they don't go to the actual steam station. They go to ComScope, which is an industry on that lead track specifically for a local. So those are the things that it does. And again, starts up in the evening hours, runs into the night, actually runs into midnight, 1 in the morning, around that time. And then the last local within the Hickory area is P60. P60, it's been around for a long time, but there's been different versions of the train, different incarnations of the train. started out obviously running from Oyama Yard and Hickory to the big Linwood Yard near Spencer. Then they abolished that operation, and then in 2020, and they abolished that other operation in 2019, 2020. They came back to the line, running from Barber Junction, around the start of the line to Oyama Yard, and then back to Barber, using SD power like SD40-2s mainly. And then on Sundays it would use the 4-axle GP power to give to the other two locals, 95 and 71. But now, and for the last year plus now, starting up at Asheville Yard in Asheville, NC, and then running to Oyama Yard, and then back to Asheville. It brings in cars from Asheville for the smaller locals, and then takes out cars that the smaller locals have already used. And on this local, it's not your primary local power like SD40s, GP38s, GP60s. On this train, you have the big mainline power, Dash 940 CWs, ES40 DCs, ET44 ACs. For the most part, it's going to be the Dash 9s. Sometimes you have that GEVO power, which really makes it very exciting to see, and that's why it can be a really exciting train to see, because it can, when you see it, it can remind you of what trains like 135, 123, 162, those fast through freights that used to run the duration of the line. It can remind you of what those trains were like, just giving a glimpse of it. So when you look at P60, it can have long trains, it can have short trains. When it has the long trains, especially, that's when it, really reminds you of what those other trains used to be. And starts at 5 o'clock in Asheville and runs into the middle of the night, like P95. And when you look at it, it gets into the Hickory area around 9 o'clock. We've seen it a couple times this year, but we tend to see the other locals more, just because we don't get out at night much. This is a night train, if you're looking at it in Hickory. But in the mountains, Old Fort, Asheville, you're going to see it in the daylight hours, at least for right now. I mean, when daylight savings time ends, that's going to be, it's going to be different. It's going to be darker even up there. So a lot of its run is going to be at night, for the most part. So that's the locals in the Hickory, NC area, and that's where you can expect with those trains. Going over to the Statesville area, I want to go over the locals there. You have P61, which originates at Linwood Yard near Spencer, turns around or terminate at Statesville. Primary power on this train is SD60Es, and really SD60Es only. You don't have, right now, you don't have too many other engine types on there. You do have some GPs on there to give to P62 for the Barber Junction, part of the line. P62 runs on the S-Line. We'll talk about that one in a minute. But it has engines for that train to drop off at Barber Junction, which is around the 10-mile post of the line. Works Barber, Statesville, really those two places. Works between the milepost 1 and the 27. So that's really what you can expect on this train. This train used to run to Oyama Yard, but that was eliminated in 2019 as well, when they abolished P60, and then they simplified P61 really cutting half of its route out of the picture, or near half of its route, nearly cutting 30 miles out of its route. So um, that's what you can expect with P61. P62 starts at Barber Junction, goes up to Statesville, the same stopping point as P61. GP power, same as 95 and 71. You have GP60s, GP38-2s, GP40-2s as well. Can be on this train, and yeah, not really much else to say with that train. Right now, some of the same industries as P61. So again, those are the locals in the Statesville area. And then the last trains I want to go over in this part one is the Asheville Locals. You have P87 and P89. I want to go over P89 first, actually. GP power, again, you know what those types are. 4-axle power, and runs between Asheville and Grovestone. Turns around at Grovestone, and serves a little branch line in that Asheville area. The route for it's not too long. It's about 18 miles, somewhere near 20 miles. So that's what to expect with that train. Starts and ends at Asheville Yard. So does P87, which uses the same mainline power as P60 does. The Dash 9s, the Gevos, runs between Asheville and Bridgewater. They serve a wood chip plant at Bridgewater. That's where they turn around. Empty cars on eastbound runs, loaded cars on westbound runs. So, and it uses the siding to do runarounds. So that's what to expect with all those locals there. We'll have part 2 on the unit trains of the line. But that's all the time we have for now. Thank you for watching this video.